This bill is incredulous to me. But think about it. Right now, it is a Class I felony for any gun to be brought on educational property. We are taking that concept and making it legal to have a gun in private schools. I cannot imagine any, I have not heard from one private school teacher saying, I'd sure like to have a gun and the ability to take one on my school. When we have SROs in our public schools, they have 868 hours of training before they can be a licensed SRO in our schools, training on how to handle a gun. And if we pass HB 5 with the changes to carry concealed weapon, without that, a person who is 18 with only 8 hours can have a gun, carry it concealed, and get permission on a private school to bring it on. So that means you can have a senior in high school in a private school getting permission to bring a gun into that school. That's what this bill would allow. Do we really want more guns in our schools? More guns in the hands of people who are not trained? Even officers who have over 800 hours of training, their accuracy rate is about 35% in a high-stress situation. And now we're saying someone with 8 hours of training can be in school grounds. If this isn't close to insanity, I'm not sure what is. We're saying who will give permission. It says the person in legal possession or control of the educational property can give written permission to someone. That's a little bit undefined. I am really worried what this will do. If there is, in fact, an emergency and officers arrive and they see a plainclothes person who may have permission, they don't know if that's the perpetrator or if that could be a victim. The confusion could be immense. Much less important, but the second part of this provision is about shooting ranges, and it prohibits any locality from allowing 48 hours notice for nighttime operation of shooting ranges within a government locality. We're mandating that local governments must allow these shooting ranges to have 24/7 nighttime shooting training purposes, which I think would upset a lot of people in communities. So, but the first part is the most important. I urge you to vote no on this bill.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Wake, Representative Jones, rise?
To speak to the bill.
The gentleman is recognized to debate the bill.
Well, you know, the first thing I want to say is I want to talk about guns just a little bit. I'm a gun owner. I had a very close friend in college who taught me how to shoot. He was a marksman. He used to say jokingly, Jones, if you ever need me, call me. I'll be available to you. But I learned how to shoot really well from him. And I like to shoot. I like to go to the range. And I'm pretty good, actually, I think. Not as good as some. I'm sure a lot of ex-military guys are better than I. So I'm not an anti-gun guy. That's where I'm coming from. They have a place. I like to hunt. I like to go to the range. So I'm just want to put that out front. Now, unfortunately, somewhere along the way, someone spread the myth that in this country they're trying to take your guns away. That's a myth. It's a bald-faced untruth. Nobody's trying to take anybody's guns. I think the Second Amendment, next to the First Amendment, might be the most well-enforced amendment we have. Going right down, I guess, 1, 2, 3. So the Second Amendment is very, very important and very well protected. But recently, there's been a move afoot that any and everybody should just have a right to buy any gun they want. I guess a guy could walk out of the insane asylum and go to a gun store and get an AR-15. Why not? It can kill 30 people in 30 seconds, probably. So I don't know what the love affair with guns is. I use my gun, I shoot at the range, but I'm not in love with it. So I wonder I asked 3 questions about all the bills that come up here. The first question I asked is, where did this come from? What's the need? Is there a need for this? Are people having trouble getting guns? And I'm not going to be personal about it and ask Mr. McNeely to answer that, but I raised that rhetorically. Are people having trouble getting guns? No. Are people having trouble getting guns to hunt? No. Are people having trouble getting guns to protect their home? No. Are people having trouble getting guns to shoot at the range? No. So in the midst of, unfortunately, people getting guns who shouldn't have them, that's where we ought to be putting some attention to mental health and that type of thing. In the midst of a plethora of guns everywhere, people shooting folks, doing stupid stuff, we want to pass some bills to make it even easier. And I don't get it. I'm missing the point. And I guess my point is in a peace-loving society, in a society where we have a right to bear arms, an important right. We have a right to protect our families, and we are doing that. Is there a need for more? And then another question I ask is there's not a need, then what is the benefit? I can think of the deficits, but what's the benefit? And so there's not a need, there's not a benefit, so why do we need this law? And I bet you 2-1, when it passes today, there'll be an overwhelming number of people voting for it. And I think in many instances, people who vote for these laws, they're not doing it because there's a need, but no one dares confront the gun industry. Too powerful. Someone to say, Abe Jones is against guns. Or somebody else. And it won't be true. Not against guns. But that myth and that approach is hurting us. I heard the president of NRA interviewed on a WPTF radio. That's the main radio station in Raleigh, for those who may not know. And he was trying to basically paint a picture that somehow, some way, somebody, somewhere, was trying to take Americans' guns away. And it was like a joke. It was like a made-up debate. Because no one is trying to do it, and no one is going to be successful doing it. It cuts across all of our society, race, creed, color, the veterans, the non-veterans, the guys who like to hunt, the guys like me. No one's going to take your gun. So, but to make it easier to get more is kind of bizarre to me. I don't understand it. So when you ask that question about why are you passing a law, what's the need for this? And what's the benefit? And I suggest to you that if you ask those 2 questions, you'll get a negative answer. Thank you for listening to me.
For what purpose, the gentleman from Rowan, Representative Warren, arise?
Let's see if the bill sponsor will respond to a series of questions.
Representative McNeely, will the gentleman yield to a series of questions?
I'd be delighted.
He yields.
Thank you, Representative McNeely. This is the first time I've seen the bill, so I just want some clarification so to make sure I'm voting, I almost said intelligently. That would be a first here. This only pertains to handguns, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the individual, as I read items 1 through 4, the individual has to have written permission from whoever the authority is in possession or control of the property, the school?
Yes, sir.
So you can't just, this doesn't just authorize someone who has a gun to go onto the property without written permission?
Exactly. Someone's actually will be chosen. They will be chosen and issued written permission.
Thank you. And this item 1 says this does nothing in this subdivision shall be construed as applying to a non-public secondary educational institution, which I understand to be a private school grades 7 through 12. Is that correct?
Actually, this would go K through 12, or pre-K even at that matter.
Okay, I thought you intended it for that, but I found that to be contradictory, and I just wanted a clarification on it. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
For what purpose does the lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Budd, rise?
To speak to the bill.
Ladies recognized to debate the bill.
I might be one of Representative McNeely's usual suspects, because this is the 3rd time I will have spoken about this bill and my opposition to it. Unlike yesterday, I'll keep it short and sweet. We need to always remember that gun rights coexist with responsibility. This bill does not require responsibility to be taken. If I recall correctly from J2, the genesis of this bill was to enable private schools who could not afford security to enable a volunteer to bring a gun to the school to provide that security. The bill does not have any requirements other than somebody giving a piece of paper to that person and saying, you may be that person. Ultimately, what I look at when I look at all these gun bills and this idea of the good guy is gonna save us from the bad guy with the gun, I liken it now to a movie where the cameraman is directing your attention as the viewer. He's telling you a story. He shows you who the good guy is. He shows you who the bad guy is. He shows you who the victims are. There's foreshadowing. You probably have a summary of the movie in your head already of what it's about. The good guy's gonna save the day. What I will tell you is after all these debates and all these years on this very same issue, I have yet to hear a story where the good guy saved the day because he had a gun, unless it is a Hollywood film where the credits are rolling. So this idea that the good guy with the gun is going to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and will in fact be recognized as the good gun, I just think it's a fantasy world. I urge you to vote no.
For what purpose does the lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Dew, rise?
Hi there. Not a usual suspect. So I want to speak to this just because it's personal to me.
Ladies recognized to debate the bill.
Oh, hi there. Sorry. I'm recognized to debate the bill. Thank you. I rise to debate. It's personal to me because I lived in Connecticut, and I'd moved before Sandy Hook happened, but it devastated the community. And I talked to my friend David Hogg, who was a Parkland kid who's now a Parkland adult. And unfortunately, as much as we would like to think that this makes us safer, I have to agree with my friends from the Education Committee, but in Maury, I'm just afraid that it doesn't. No need to belabor the point. I agree with all of theirs, and I support my friends who unfortunately had to live through horror.
For what purpose does the lady from Wake, Representative Von Haven, arise?
To speak to the bill.
Ladies recognized to debate the bill.
Excuse me. House Bill 193 is yet another bill that we're debating which tries to address a problem without considering the consequences of an ill-advised and dangerous action. More guns in schools it increases the threat to the safety of school children, not the opposite. First, the risk of unintentional shootings increases. More guns means more risk that students and non-authorized personnel can gain access to weapons, leading to more unintentional shootings. This has actually already happened here in North Carolina. In February of 2024, just 2 months after we passed Senate Bill 41, which you might recall allowed the use of guns in religious settings that were also schools, a religious school staff member, a legal concealed carry permit holder, left her handgun in a restroom of the school where it was found by an elementary school student. Where is a kindergarten teacher supposed to store a gun while teaching? Our teachers are already under immense stress and have enough to worry about. We should not have to add to the worry of additional firearms in their classrooms and worry that their students or someone else may gain access to it. Second of all, educators are not trained to use firearms in a crisis. As we heard from Representative Maury, law enforcement personnel have many, many hundreds of hours of training. An armed teacher or staff member cannot, absolutely cannot, in a moment of extreme duress and confusion, be expected to transform magically into a specially trained law enforcement officer. Armed vigilante volunteers seated at a folding table, as we heard in Education Committee the other day, in front of the school is not going to solve the serious problem of violence in our educational environments. Teachers do not want to be armed. They do not want more guns in our schools. Repeated national and state polling have shown that a vast majority of teachers and staff are opposed to bills like this. I haven't heard from a single public or private school teacher or staff member in this state that's in support of this bill. Adding guns on guns on guns to our school environments will only add more carnage. Guns are already the leading cause of death for students and children in our state. And it makes me so sad that we're debating this bill in front of a bunch of students that just walked in to watch this debate, because we are making their school environments less safe every time we pass a bill like this. Our children deserve a safe and healthy school environment in both public and private schools. This bill is the opposite of that. Stop putting our kids in danger, and let's actually address the root causes of gun violence in this state and this country. The first of which is that we have way too many guns in our communities. Stop putting our kids in danger. Stop putting these kids in danger. Stop putting more guns in our communities, and stop making our schools less safe. Vote no.